resuming debate. The honourable member for South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honour to rise here to speak at length for the first time. So I'd like to begin by thanking the voters of South Okanagan, West Kootenay for placing their trust in me to speak for them here in this chamber. I'd like especially to thank the many volunteers who worked hard to elect me as the first MP in the big, beautiful riding of South Okanagan, West Kootenay. And I also thank my wife, Margaret, who is one of the most hardest working of those volunteers and has always been a pillar of strength for me. And I'd also like to mention the hard work of Alex Adamanenko, the respected and newly retired MP for the old riding of BC Southern Interior. As someone born and raised there, I'm somewhat biased, but I think that my riding, from the vineyards and orchards of the South Okanagan, the ponderosa pines of the Kettle, the big Columbia River rolling through the West Kootenay, and the ice-capped peaks soaring above the Slocan and Arrow Lakes, this has to be the most beautiful riding in the country. And as an ecologist, I love it both its diversity and its uniqueness, since it is home to a host of species found nowhere else in Canada. It is also the unceded territory of the Syilx, Sinixt, and Ktunaxa peoples, and we are all the richer for their traditions, their culture, and their knowledge. Other communities add to that cultural diversity, including the Indo-Canadian and Portuguese communities in the South Okanagan, the Doukhobors of Grand Forks and Castlegar, and the big Italian community centered on Trail. But while it is beautiful, my riding faces serious challenges. From the desert grasslands of the South Okanagan to the forests of the West Kootenay, climate change is bringing longer, hotter summers, shallower snowpacks, and more frequent wildfires. Just this summer, the communities of Oliver, Osoyoos, Grand Forks, and Christina Lake were threatened by a series of fires, and one catastrophic fire destroyed 30 homes in the village of Rock Creek. And I want to take this opportunity to register in this chamber the thanks that my constituents give to the brave men and women who fought those fires and the many volunteers who fed and housed both the firefighters and the residents who had been forced from their homes. So climate change is a clear concern to the residents of my riding, and I hope that the government backs the elegant words about climate change in the throne speech with a clear plan, bold targets, and prompt action. Hotter summers and diminishing rainfall are also forcing local agricultural operations to adapt quickly to remain competitive. And agriculture has always been the heart of the economy in the western half of this riding. I grew up on a small apple orchard, and the region is justly proud for its apricots, peaches, cherries, wine grapes, tomatoes, peppers, melons, apples, and beef. Many local residents are concerned about food security issues, and I was deeply disappointed, therefore, to note that agriculture was not mentioned once in the throne speech. And I sincerely hope that the government will take up the National Food Security Strategy prepared by the NDP in the previous Parliament. South Okanagan, West Kootenay is a very important tourist destination with its sparkling lakes, its sandy beaches, hiking and biking trails, rock climbing opportunities, and world-class ski hills. Tourism is a huge part of our economy, not just in my riding, but across this spectacular country. So again, I have to say I was disappointed to see that there was not one mention of it in the throne speech. We need to market our country more skillfully. And I have to give a shout out here to the Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association for their cutting-edge marketing programs. The federal government would do well to invest in programs such as these through a larger contribution to Destination Canada. As is the case across this country, natural resources are a big part of the economy of the South Okanagan, West Kootenay. From the huge Teck smelters and Trail, the Selgar mill in Castlegar, and other mining and forestry operations throughout the riding. I was proud to be named the Deputy Critic for Natural Resources for the NDP, and I look forward to working hard on that file that is so critical to Canada's wealth. We must continually improve the sustainability of our resource extraction methods and process our resources here in Canada so that we don't export good-paying jobs. The natural beauty and mild climate of South Okanagan, West Kootenay are attractive to retirees from across Canada. Real estate prices are relatively high, and that factor, combined with the generally low wage rates across the riding, results in a large population of constituents who are struggling to make ends meet. Affordable housing and homelessness are big issues in all of my communities. Seniors also make up a very large part of the South Okanagan West Kootenay population. Many of them have inadequate pensions, and the health issues that go along with an elderly demographic have been straining our healthcare system. Young people also face a difficult future in this riding. Some were drawn to the energy sector jobs in northeastern British Columbia and Alberta, but as that sector contracts, many have returned home hoping to find similar work. They have listened hopefully to the government promises of infrastructure funding and investments in green technology that could change the face of hundreds of communities across this country. Many others have gone on to post-secondary education. Some go to large universities outside the riding, others go into apprenticeships in the trades, but many attend Okanagan College and Selkirk College, two fine post-secondary institutions in this riding. They're well known for their innovative programs, such as the Sustainable Construction Program at Okanagan College and the Rural Pre-Med Program at Selkirk. To be a successful country in the 21st century, Canada needs to provide its young people with a grade A education. And so I'm also proud that I'm the NDP post-secondary education critic. The speech from the throne briefly mentioned the plight of students facing increasing debt loads, but we must look at the root cause of these debts, the soaring tuition rates caused by a long-term decline in federal funding. Mr. Speaker, in the last election, Canadians voted for change. In that long campaign, the Liberals promised much regarding the environment, a more positive role in foreign affairs, social infrastructure, housing, poverty reduction, pension reform, and health care. And the people of my riding will be watching this government closely to make sure they deliver on those promises. And I, as part of the NDP progressive opposition, will be watching as well over the coming months. We remain optimistic and hopeful, but we will be diligent in holding this government to account. And now, Mr. Speaker, I will simply say Merry Christmas to all, and I hope everyone in this chamber and across the country has a happy and healthy New Year. Thank you.
Questions and comments?